Hey guys, Monique Leslie, Misfit Crafter here from Misfit Crafter Studio and Misfit Crafter on all social media, where we love to live and share the crafty life with you. So today I'm going to bring you a fun little thing to do with your Cricut Joy. It is actually making these little tags or any other engraving, and it's kind of hard to pick it up on the camera right here with the lighting, but you can see exactly that we did some etching into a nice little dog tag for Buddy, and it's kind of thin. And yes, you can actually engrave with your Cricut Joy. Now, have to put a full disclaimer though, Cricut does not make an engraving tool or etching tool for the Cricut Joy, but you can pick up this little engraving tool off of Amazon if you'd like to use it. And I tested it and to make sure it's pretty good. Now, just so you know that if something is ever causes damage, excuse me, ever causes damage to your machine, Cricut does say that it will void your warranty if you did not use a Cricut product and it caused it to damage your machine. Of course, if you use a Cricut product and it damages your machine, Cricut's responsible for it. But yes, if you use this, just know if it damages your machine or you don't use the right material, it could void your warranty. That being said, we tested this out on these dog tags. You can see how thin they are. As long as it goes into the rollers without any like super force or anything, it's safe for the machine from what I found. I tried these guys. These are too thick for the Cricut Joy. So I'm letting you know right now, make sure whatever it is that you use is thin. Flat metal tags, thinner, you know, acrylic tags, things like that. But I'm going to show you how to use this, how to line it up and everything using your Cricut Joy. I love this little guy. I've been having so much fun, like just scratching into things like crazy. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so we're going to get started on Design Space. So I'm going to show you how to put together your template. If you're using something like this shape, it's a basic oval shape kind of dog tag flat thing with the little hole at the top. Okay, so the important part is that when we actually put something on Design Space, the biggest thing is just knowing how much of a surface area we actually have to work with. So when I measured this, the full dog tag is 2 inches by a little over 1¼ inches wide. But what I have really to work with is just underneath the little dot down to here and side to side. We're not going to put anything ever, you know, all the way from edge to edge, so that's not a big deal. And I'm literally just using my Cricut mat and I'm putting the dot above the line so I can get a good idea of how big of a dog tag area that I have. And I'd say about 1 3/4 by just a little over 1 inch wide is the area that I'm going to be using. So on Design Space, and sorry, I'm looking away from you guys so I can see this, but on Design Space, if you look on there, there is a bunch of different shapes. Pick the closest shape to what you have. Mine happens to have a pretty good one that I can use. You know, here's a perfect little oval right here. It's a good size. I'm just going to rotate it like by 90 degrees. But basically, even if you have like an unusual shape, if you have a star, you know, like this, you might not find the exact same star, but you know how big of an area in here you have. So you could measure just this inside area and create yourself a little circle or a square on the screen to be able to go in the center of this. If you're engraving on something larger, smaller, whatever, leather, this, you can, yes, and you can engrave on leather, but mine happens to be this shape. So I'm going to go ahead and size it to what I need. So we know it's about 2 inches. Sorry, about I'm going to say 1.1 inches wide, and it's about 2 inches long. Oops, actually I have to do it this way. 1.1 because I forgot I put it at a 90-degree angle. I want to say it's maybe just a tiny bit wider. About there. Looks about right. All right, so we know we have the shape that we need right here. So I'm going to go ahead and just put that there so we have a good idea of the surface we're dealing with. We know we can't put anything at the very top because there's a hole there. So if I want to go ahead and just choose like a quick little phrase or something that I want to put in there, if I want to put information in there, I can type whatever it is. For me, I'm actually just going to pick a cute little image So we're going to go in here. The big important thing is remember that you're etching. Anything that you can do with a pen, you can pretty much do with the etching. You just want to be really careful. So when choosing either text or an image, you're going to want to tell it what type you want. So I'm going to say draw only, so that this way it's a line piece when you're looking at text. So I'm going to show you both. So let's pick something fairly simple. This is cute. It's actually really cute. I don't know what it is, but it's cute. So I'm going to add it to canvas, and it's there. So we got it all nice and ready. I'm going to make this a very light gray just so I can still see it, but it's in the background. All right, so I know I'm going to want this. I'm going to make this a little bigger so we can see that a little better. I'm just going to place it right there. So right there. Okay, so I'm gonna put it right there. Okay, so I picked a line image, makes it easier, something with text. And then right here, I'm gonna make sure that when I choose text and I go to look for text, I am gonna go in here and choose writing and handwriting. Both of those will work perfectly because it's gonna be a single line or something that's fairly simple, not too complex. If you really want to, you can use like box letters and stuff like that. You just want to make sure that it's not overly complicated, because it will take a while, or it doesn't, you know, like it has like cross lines and stuff like that. It's gonna look funny. If you choose this, you really can't go wrong. You'll more than likely find something that is just right, and it'll work out okay. So like even if I choose this big one here, it's bubble text, perfect. So if I go right here and if I just spell out, let's just say I type in love. Oops. If I can type it in right. Okay, there we go. So I'm just typing in love. And all I gotta do is make sure that it fits right where I need it. Perfect. Still have some room up there. It's not too thick. It should be okay. Yeah, we should be good. Let me just make sure. 2 by 1.2. I want to make it just ever so different. There we go. Just ever such a bit smaller, just in case my measurements are a little off. Okay, so now I don't need this anymore, and if you want to, you can actually make this a guide. If you make it a guide, you'll see that it puts a red line, and basically what happens is if you make it a guide, it will not cut or print or do whatever it is. We just need to make sure that this and this are set to foil, not pen. Set it to foil, because what it does is it puts a little more pressure on the machine so that it etches out your piece. Okay, so we made those into foil. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose everything. I want it all nice and lined up right in the center, so I know it's nice and lined up. All right, so I know this should work out pretty well. I'm going to put this just a little lower because I know I have plenty of room down here. There we go. Okay, so it's perfect. So now you can see I have it all lined up. It's perfect the way I want it. Okay, so the only thing is we do want to make sure that we choose our words and we attach them. Otherwise, they will just randomly be placed on your mat. So make sure you attach them so that they write exactly in the order you see it. And then you're going to go ahead and just save your project, and then you're going to go to make it. Okay, so now we're going to go to make it, and you're going to see it's just sticking it wherever it wants on the mat. One, I'm going to change it to be in a smaller mat because I'm not going to use my giant mat for it. But two, we need to figure out how to make sure that when I put this guy on my mat, that I know it's going to hit the right spot. And here's a couple of tricks. So on your mat, whether you have an off-brand or you have a Cricut brand, whatever one that you have, and let me grab my Cricut one over here. If you have your Cricut Joy mat, this is my longer one, but I do have a smaller one. It will have measurements for you everywhere. So you have the one, and you have all the little pieces. you want to make sure that wherever you put this guy, you have it lined up pretty well. And what I usually do is use the 2-inch mark. Let me show you. All right. So whatever I'm using, I try to use the 2-inch mark as my center point of wherever the hole is or whatever I'm doing. And so I have a good idea where this is going to lay. So I can do the same thing on the screen. I can go over here and basically just line that up a little low. We know that this guy is at least 2 inches long. So we know it's going to be at least from there to there to the 2-inch mark, right? So I can just move it down. I'm just hitting my down button on my keyboard just so I can get it just down there. So I know it's going to hit down here, and I know I have it at least 1.5 inches wide right here, at least about 1.25 inches. So if it's in between pretty well, half and half between that guy and that guy, I know that I should be good in centers. It's basically a little bit of a guessing game, but you can be pretty precise and you can really measure it nicely if you really need to. This is where also your X and Y axis points on Design Space. I know I'm trying to get a little bit of geometry there, but this is where those kind of come in handy to like place exactly if you really want to get technical with it. But really it's kind of a guesstimate, but it's not a bad guesstimate. It's a pretty easy way to line things up. You know, you can use the crosshairs of where a center point hits and make sure that whatever your piece is put in that center as best you can. Things like that. It's not too hard to kind of do it once you kind of play with it. So now that we have it placed on here in a pretty good spot, wherever you put it here, it's where it's going to go ahead and do everything. This is telling me to check out, which means I must pay for something. And apparently this is not for sale for some reason. Okay. What is not for sale? What did I choose that is costing me money? Is it you? No. Must be you. What happened? It's saying I purchased it. Odd. Okay, so welcome back. I did a little pause there because for some reason it is saying that I own that file, but it keeps wanting me to check out. When I go to check out, it tells me it doesn't exist, so it's weird. So I'm going to show you an example using the same love that we put before. We're still going to keep that because I couldn't tell you what happened. I'll have to like contact Cricut for that one, but I'm gonna just use the love because I thought this was really cute. I'm actually just gonna use it just like this because it's cute, and I think it'll work perfectly fine for what I want to do. All right, so I'm actually gonna undo that and make this kind of wide. There we go. So I'm just gonna put this on my dog tag just like that instead because it's cute and I think it will look cute. So I just want to make sure it's still within the range of the size, and it is. I do want to make it a little fatter though. So what I am going to do is I am going to ungroup to letters, and then I am going to do that. Attach. All right. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and make it, and same thing though. On the mat, we're gonna go ahead and go 4.5 by 6.5 inch mat, and I am gonna still line it up towards the middle of that 2 inch mark, and just move it over, just like that. So now I know it's lined up nicely to where my mat and my tag will be, and I am going to go ahead and hit continue. All right, so here's the important part. When you tell it what it is going to go down onto, if you are using a little tag, metal tag like this, it's pretty thin. The sizing will be when I link you to the kit that I got with this. My engraver came with these already, like in the set, so the link that I send for this will come with these guys. But for this, I use regular 80-pound cardstock with the default pressure. It definitely gives more than enough pressure. You could do more if you want to, if you're going to be using something different. But like I said, be careful. The only part you want to be careful about is making sure this fits underneath. All right, so what it's basically telling us to do is to put the tip in, put our foil on, and put it shiny side down. We're going to ignore the foil part because we're not using foil. We're actually engraving on this. So when you put it down onto your mat, let me show you. If you have a heavy grip mat, and yes, you can buy heavy grip mats for your for this, but it's hard to find. But once you put it down onto your mat, here's 2 things I suggest. You can use glue dots, double stick tape, and put it on the back and then put on the mat, but it's a little hard to take off. So what we're basically gonna just be doing is taping our guy down. So this is just purple tape, and I use this so that it doesn't take off a bunch of stuff off of my actual piece. Since, I'm gonna show you, since we're only going to be etching down the middle right here, I can just put it on the sides. All right, so you want to make sure you have that guide nice and down, okay? And I'm going to show you how to put everything in. So we're going to pause for a second and we'll flip down to see our Cricut. All right, so we have our Cricut right here. Okay, so we're going to take this guy out. And your kit, I know everything fits in a cute little tube. Your kit comes with this guy. So just depending on how thick you want your etching to be, and I'm going to make mine a little thick, just a little thick. But I'm going to show you what is on these guys so you can see how thick or thin you want this. So if you take a look on these guys, you'll see that there are lines on each one of those tips. The more lines, the thicker the point is. So the one line gives you a really thin tip, and then it just goes up to a really thick tip. I'm going to use the thickest tip that's on there. Actually, I'm going to use the second thickest tip, which is the 3 line one. And this little guy is just, you just have to drop that in there. There you go. And it just drops in. And there's a little thing to push if you need to take it back out. Same as your regular Cricut. So you're just going to get this guy and you're just going to throw it right on in. Oh, actually. Let's do that again. All right, so we have our Cricut Joy right here, and we're gonna go ahead and I've already taken out my actual blade. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and put it in our engraving tip. So it comes with the cap. I do suggest leaving it on. It's a little sharp on the end right there. It's very, very pointy. So we're gonna go ahead and just drop that guy right in. I do not like the way that this camera makes my fingernails look yellow. But all right, so we have him nice and taped down. We really have it pushed on there. I pushed really hard to make sure it is stuck as possible. Okay, so then we're gonna go ahead and load this guy in, and our machine will automatically take it. I was cutting something earlier, forgot to take it off. Not a big deal. Sorry about the loud. I had the mic very close to the Cricut. All right, so I have default pressure. It's telling me it's a foil transfer tool, so it's gonna push a little harder than usual because with the foil transfer, it has to push hard. And if you are interested in foiling, there is actually another video as part of this little series on how to foil, along with a bunch of other stuff. All right, I'm gonna hit go. All right, you see that was quick and easy because there wasn't a whole lot to it. I do see that I put it a little tiny bit high, but that's okay. It still looks pretty good. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and unload the project. That's gonna pop our guy out, and let me show you up close. I'm moving you guys on the camera so you can see it nice and zoomed in. Look at that. You see it? That's so cute. So you can imagine all kinds of different possibilities. This is just a really simple tag that we did on there. All right, and I'm just popping that off. And here's one other suggestion. Please don't wipe it with your fingers. It is metal that it was trying to cut through, so you want to be careful. So I just get my tape and clean it off so I can clean the metal off, and that way I'm not going and getting metal on my finger. But there you go, there you have it, super cute, etched in. Now, the other thing you can do so that you're able to see it if it's on a lighter tag or if you're using it on anything else, you can actually put in like enamel paint into here and then wipe it off, and it'll leave behind the etching a little bit. It's a little hard to tell on camera, but you can see it more in person. This buddy is actually in blue, and it comes up really light because it's a light blue, but you can see, and that was actually me. I actually scratched it by accident before I even made this. It wasn't part of the problem here. So you can see right there, you can see right here how we etch that in, and that's it. So really simple, just using this little etching tool. And like I said, it's super cute little etching tool right here, and what's cool is everything fits in that little container, like everything is like closed in. So there we go. So like I said, it comes with this, and it comes with a whole bunch of blanks so that you can make your own tags. When I got it, I messed up a couple of them because of the alignment, and it wasn't because of the machine, it was because I wasn't paying attention to where it was putting something. So my first ones were like hit or miss, but you can see it really did a good job. But it was too funny because I kept smacking myself because I was like, I'm not paying attention to the lines on my mat. But that's it. There's nothing else to it. Pretty simple. I'm gonna go ahead and turn this guy off. There we go. And all you're gonna do on your Cricut is just hit done, and you're all good to go. All right, so I hope you enjoyed the fun little quick tutorial on how to make these really cute little engraved tags. And like I said, you can engrave on tags, you can leather, wood pieces, but like I said, the biggest thing is just to make sure it can get underneath the roller, so it needs to be nice and thin. So just be really careful about that. Basically, if you push it under the roller and it doesn't just slide through, when you test it, then don't use it on your machine. It's just literally like, if you're getting resistance, don't do it. But make sure when you test it and you're putting it under the roller, stick it on top of the mat and put it under the roller and make sure it goes through without any resistance. So like, you can literally put it right here on the corner and then just go like that, and then just make sure it doesn't get stuck on you. You do not want to force something too big when you're etching on there. So like I said, I hope you enjoyed it. This is part of 4 videos that are all together. One just talks about the card mat. The other one talks about foiling. There's this one with the etching, and then I have another one that uses pins, and primarily the watercolor pins, but it's the same premise as regular pins. So you have 4 that you can go in and see all the little things that you can do with the Cricut Joy. And I hope you enjoyed, so don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you saw this on this from the summit, like I said, there is the list of all 4 videos in one spot for you. If you're not coming from the summit, there's links to all of them in YouTube below. All right, thanks for watching. Bye.